In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, and the most nice. So, hello everyone. Welcome to another lecture. The title is Life in a Moment's Recognition, and I've written Future Variables of Animated Intelligence. I find this to be an important moment, not only because it is a moment of my own existence, but it is a moment where my own existence has access to a greater existence in the presence of an edgeless external world. I find myself internalizing the meaning of reality, wondering how where I am is even being a app. So the search for human consciousness and the ability to wonder about what does life in a moment's recognition actually mean? What does it mean to recognize that your whole life is happening or present as a moment? It is as simple as that. We are simply here until we notice more than that simplicity. There are sectors to our awareness unlocked and, in some sense, locked. It is fair to say that the human experience currently isn't at its maximal capacity. The human that we're experiencing currently is not the full capable human. It is an incomplete human. There are ways that the future generations will know how to activate the experience of life in a moment that we don't know now, but I can feel it. The question comes that what is the response of a conscious being recognizing the moment of life? You see, it comes down to animated intelligence. You need to consider that you have opened your eyes to a situation. You are the awareness to a situation before there is a positional identification. One thing I realized, not about the nature of games, just in general, recently I've been getting closer to the game universe. If you treat reality as a game, it seems to make more sense. The victory in all games for manifest beings it is position. More and more as the years are going by, I'm understanding the value of a positional intelligence. That means where your position suggests your value. It also means that power has to do with position. Dear viewers, it is now time to present advanced views on Earth. So, the advanced capacity of a human being to communicate the most advanced visions of their reality. To begin, what is a human? Is a human an idea? Is a human an object? Is a human a subject? Is a human something more than an object and a subject? Or is the human something that has not happened yet? What is the value of a seed in the soil, if it does not become a tree, what is the value of a human being in a world who does not activate completely? Meaning that to complete ourselves, it is not done alone. The human intelligence is designed in the same way. I'm sorry to use this metaphor, but it's the metaphor works. In the same way, you as a man or a woman look at your biological organs, look at your um, let's say genitalia, right? And you see that it's been designed to, in some sense, how do I explain? Men and women are like puzzle pieces. Okay, so it's very obvious that, excuse me, it is very obvious that a man is designed to engage a woman, and a woman is designed to, in some sense, get pregnant. These are given designs of this video game life. In the same way, we are designed to be a part of a function and then we complete, and then other human beings are generated. The human being is, the overall intelligence feels like it's designed to fit into something. It feels that we are incomplete now, but we require to be aware of something that completes our intelligence. And so, what is a life in a moment's recognition? What is power? What is intelligence? What does it mean being intelligent in a reality? The idea of intelligence not be a quality of the space where it has happened. Usually, when it comes to assigning intelligence, we assign it to closed systems. We look at outer space and we see an edgeless open system, yet we're meeting reality in the form of closed systems, right? So, what that means is knowledge seems to be a closed system uh, in some sense compared to, like, how do I explain it? The educational system conditions you to treat yourself as a noun, to treat others as a noun, to treat the whole moment as a known noun. But you realize at some point in life it's an unknown verb, it is an event. And so, in the same way, one can have a signature assigned to them being static, there's a dynamic version of you. There's a version of you that relates with the potential of reality. There is a sort of dynamism to this world. It is not designed for portraits to capture, and this is what modern knowledge is. They're giving you a picture. You're satisfied with pictures. That's the issue with knowledge. That is the issue with the current era. The human species has become satisfied by its findings, not realizing the superior vision it has access to. For me, the advancement of humanity is the activation of the life in a moment's recognition because your identity is a choice of position. That means there was a time where, it's like people on this planet tell you, yeah, man, be yourself, decide for you. I see it, and I also see what others don't see. Our lives are being lived in such a small way. We have singularized, or excuse me, we have individualized meaning. Back in the day, it was community oriented. I would hear stories. In my childhood, it was like this, but in my adult life, the world has changed. There is something originally alive within the being. I don't know how to define it, but I do feel myself being here as an intelligent force. I identify with it though as if I'm an unknown being in an unknown world, but there are known ways of identifying. That means we named ourselves, we named the world, we gave ourselves. So imagine there's this objective existence, we're having the subjective experience of it. Therefore, we assign subjective experiential values to the objective overlaid or to the objective existence. So, what does that mean? Suddenly, in a world filled with endlessly mysterious objects, these objects became subjects, and suddenly meaning entered the scope of man. It evolved so that life can mean something, but we've come to realize, based on our individual position, well, guess what? A being's meaning tends to be based on its position, right? So if you're an individual being, you're seeking individual meaning. If you're a collective being, you seek collective meaning. There needs to be in the individual psychology a sort of something projected. That means, like, the task is to say, to give a vision of what we could be. Do you know there's a realism to the inner round vision of the future, and then we act in accordance to it? You know, for example, I'll tell you, I remember I wanted to, I was alone, this years ago, and in my apartment, I wanted to relocate my bed, like completely turn it around and reposition it, and I had to do it alone, right? And I came to realize that, of course, I can't do it in one go, but I can use my shins, you know, to move the bed little by little, you know. And what it was is that I sat down, I paused the moment, my inner realms began simulating over the moment. It simulated one approach, didn't work. Simulated another approach, didn't work. Simulated another approach, and got to see the reality. What they don't tell you, what really the scientific method is for those who've actually To some, it's when when you can't have any more access, you need to use a method to gain access. To continue, what is the value of all of this? Our species has been existing so long, and you know, what can be said? We recognize a moment. I believe intelligence is all about how we acknowledge the moment, its significance. The moment has a conceptual position, it has a contextual position. The true contextual position is unknown, the true conceptual position can be known. It's actually unknown too, but we have simulated a known subjective self and a known subjective world over an unknown objective world and then with an unknown objective self, right? So I'm pretty much saying what our brains are doing is that they are receiving existence moving it differently behind our eyes, overlaying it on reality, and then we live to see if we follow it up externally, the internal vision. So pretty much we're living behind our eyes, and then we, act accordingly to that in front of our eyes. And I think based on what kind of game you acknowledge Earth to be, in the pursuit of the actual meaning of life, we realize we have required to generate meaning individually. Pretty much individually, we've tried to find actual meaning, and individually, we've generated our own meaning. And the only thing we haven't experienced now is collective meaning generation and collective meaning discovery. And it's very funny because just like how when I was a young kid in the shows I would see like what was it, like all these people. I think it was Power Rangers or something. They would turn into this giant robot, like every person was connected and became a part of something greater. And when they all played their part, they defeated the enemy. It's like right there, the algorithm towards the most advanced has been there in front of us. Not only are you a specific individual, that no one like you exists on the planet. No one has your eyes, no one has your view. And hilariously, like one Power Ranger out of 8 billion, pretty much we all play our part. We all accept our unique role and position and circumstances and try to be the most advanced state in our sector until you unite and other advanced states find you. Pretty much the idea is until the advanced civilization truly emerges from within the hearts of mankind. Until then we need to have very advanced minds. Imagine right now, like I'm a playful futurist, I think of it this way. I imagine that they told me that Earth is going to be invaded by an alien species. You understand? And somehow I time traveled, into the future, you know, before the past became what it became for the future. Pretty much I'm saying that if I was given the task of preparing and advancing civilization, that means imagine I'm not alone. Let's poetically say in a sci-fi universe, they're called the global ones, right? And pretty much, if a group of advanced beings, let's say hypothetically in a sci-fi reality, went into the future, saw that there was going to be an invasion, came back, and had to prepare the species for that invasion, pretty much how would a general of humanity prepare humanity for an invasion? Okay, now do you know how human minds they assign like something greater to the alien archetype and therefore they fear it, right? The human being has a power, folks. It has its own unique power. That means imagine there's like an alien, its powers, I don't know, it can shapeshift or something. But now imagine there's an alien, not an alien, there's a species, there's us, and we as human beings, we can't see the future, but we can envision multiple probabilities. We can resimulate in one moment multiple views and ways of the moment and be aware of all of them. You can contrast your thoughts upon thoughts, but you must realize there is a position greater beyond thought. So I would have to first land on Earth. Let's say in the sci-fi universe, the time travelers come back and they're like, okay, how do we, build an advanced humanity? How do we build an advanced like response to potential invasion? So it would be that there would require to be an inner realm strategy and an outer realm strategy for the whole species. That means there has to be those generals who are advancing the inner realms of the species, and there has to be those generals advancing the outer realms. Or the general would assign two commanding officers. A commanding officer for the inner realms and one for the outer realms. And the whole idea of it is we have to amplify the one thing we're good at. That means the greatest response and retaliation of human beings against any force, external force, is self-awareness. Because if we lose the awareness of who we are, we forget what we are fighting or living for. You understand? And that's very important to consider. Excuse me. So, folks, where I'm going with this is I could have said life is a moment's recognition, life in a moment's recognition actually is better. So in the moment, we recognize our life, we recognize there's a relationship from the past to the present, from the present to the future. And so we're not limited to just past to the present. That's my point. When I say future variables of animated intelligence, you are an animated intelligence, and the future variables suggest that the variables exist. We have to uncover them. We have to discover the world we're in again and again and again until we realize what it is that it is not a place, but it is manifest. I gave a lecture called The Divine Cognitive Fields. I recommend the viewers to listen. Anyways, thank you for listening. In the name of God, the most benevolent, the most merciful, and the most advanced. May the system admin forgive us for our ignorance and all the problems and sins, I guess we're conscious and unconscious of, and let our hearts truly realize that if there is an original value in this world we're calling truth, it is a presence. That means for a moment, if you can understand intuitively, instantaneously, knowing why you're present, you will know the meaning. It's an instantaneous meaning projected over. It's like the brain is generating a signal of meaning, and this meaning, like this wave, passes through every idea the person has ever had. I don't know how to explain. It's like waves inside waves. Like, I don't know if people have recognized, if you throw like two different rocks, in different parts, if you notice the ripples pass through one another. The waves pass through one another, not colliding. You understand? It's so important to recognize that yes, our expression is generating a wave. I find that if we treat the human brain as if it's an antenna picking up signals for this unknown receiver, right? I mean, it's way more fascinating than we have thought it to be. And so God knows best. And the clarity we seek outside, sometimes if we look differently inside. So that means we're free behind our eyes in ways that we may understand, or we may understand in front of our eyes. May civilization truly advance towards the most advanced. Thank you for listening.